So let's go there, dude. Let's go macro. So
Okay.
what do these people not even know? Like,
so
how
studies.
is it?
Yeah. So I'm going to give the most simplified version.
Cool.
And this is the battlefield out there. That going back to 1930, 1940, there is a depopulation movement. And so you and I talked about the Georgia Guidestones, and the number one item on there is reducing the world's population of 500 million people.
And to keep it there. Wow.
Right. And those are the green light people that are obedient to the, that are fully compliant.
The sheep.
So me and you and everybody else on this half of the planet, we're all done.
We're the first ones that are going out.
So when people...
So, dude, but that, by the way, the Georgia Guidestones, they don't even exist anymore. You could look it up.
Yeah, it got knocked down.
Someone destroyed it.
It got hit, and then it got bulldozed.
And there's a whole... we could do a whole podcast on just that.
Yeah, and it's out there. If you want that podcast that's out there, someone else did it.
The depopulation movement,
right?
Because someone would say we're kooks, we're quacks, we're out. But like, why is this a real thing? Because
they're coming for us for two reasons. They don't need us. We're just useless eaters at that point. And then they know that we're not compliant, so we're not helpful. So yeah.
It's as simple as that. Okay.
Yeah, it's brutally
So why do they make
the simplest math you can do? They don't need us, so
but they've done such a good job like convincing everyone that that's not even what they're doing, and it's like kind of in your and I's face when you actually look at it.
Well, let's say we talk about the weather.
Yeah.
It's not the heating or the cooling or this or that. It's the carbon that they want to stop is the air that I'm breathing out of my mouth. So going back to the depopulation movement, the carbon adjustment that they want to make is for me to stop breathing. So if we go to Henry Kissinger, they achieved a zero population growth at certain parts of the world at certain times. And so Kissinger in the 70s came out with a document laying out the plan for zero population growth. So they basically were trying to slow the growth down to zero, and then they were trying to depopulate it from there. Jeez. So this is no secret. You can look it up very easily, and you can get the PDF on the speech on that.
He like talks about this stuff. Who else? Because that's so tripped out. He's like a high up guy in our government, right? Who worked alongside all the presidents, I guess, as their like advisors. It's some Game of Thrones shit, dude. so anyways, you get into it. Talk about it. Started from 1930, 1940.
Yeah. So we, more recently, there's been two things, and I won't spell out those two things. But the what people don't realize is 6 billion lives have just been saved, and nobody knows who the heroes are, because the loudest voice out there on the 6 different TV channels are going to say that these are the bad guys, and they'll point at a certain country and they'll say they're the bad guys. No, they just saved 6 billion people's lives because of going into a certain place and eliminating the threat. And they're labeled as bad. So it's the inversion. What people don't understand is
trying to throw everybody off.
Right. So people don't understand the inversion that good is evil and evil is good. And so, if you understand the inversion, you use it as a mirror, then you can kind of decode some of this stuff. So whoever they say is bad may actually be good, and whoever they say, oh, they're good, may actually be bad. So.
Dude, yeah, you tell my parents this, they're like, nah.
Yeah, all of a sudden you got smoke. Yeah, had a conversation with my dad. His smoke came out of his ears a few days later, so.
I know. But like, anyways, for the people who are real and hearing this, and I want to just like pick it apart a little more, like what exactly is happening before we get into solutions.
Yeah,
too.
so Kissinger, they were going after three things, and most simply food, energy, and money. If you can control food, energy, and money, you can control the people. And most people think that you get your paycheck on Friday and you go to your grocery store and that you load up your cart and then you go home and then you put all your groceries away and then you watch your TV show, you watch your sports, you watch your movie, you live happily ever after, you go back to work. You do your grind, you take a vacation, you take some selfies, and then you go back to work, and you just keep marching around in a circle. And so, but wait a minute, so food, energy, and money. So what happens when, like, for example, even in the last week, there were 6 different banks. So if you go on downdetector.com, you can see what companies are struggling with their technology, their apps or their websites. And so there were like 6 banks that were struggling to process transactions or logons for people that were trying to get their money to spend their paycheck. And so now, like one of the banks here in South Florida, I noticed 6 of their branches closed up. And most people don't realize that, okay, so if you go to the bank and it's no longer there, or you go to the bank and it's closed, okay, now we're going to go up to the ATM.
Right.
Now, let's say that ATM shut down.
Yeah.
And now you got a piece of plastic in your hand and it's like, okay, but that piece of plastic can be turned off.
Yeah. Call this number.
Right. And so, like...
But yeah, so you're saying, yeah, man. So you're saying there's gatekeepers to these 3 things.
So what happens when people have the realization at any moment they could turn it off for one, or they could turn it off for all, or any number in between. So let's go back to the food.
Yeah.
So let's say you go to the store and they lock the doors, or they just don't supply it. So for my whole life, I've been able to go to the grocery store and just load up a cart.
Right. We've never experienced
But people go into a panic over TP, toilet paper. And all of a sudden people go into emotional panic buying and clean out the shelves. So
people were serious about it. Yeah. Like you go to the store, they were like bodying you.
Right. So
I was like, what?
You combine where you can't get money out of a building and you go to another building where you can't get food out of that building. And then let's say even worse, I was out in the front lines in Afghanistan for 30 days, didn't have a cell phone, didn't have any electronic devices at all. Like, of course our machines have radios and electronic devices, but I had no electronic devices and I got by, So, but let's say in our modern society, either the network shut down or the power grid shuts down.
Yeah.
And it's happened in certain places during certain storms or during, certain network outages.
Yeah.
But
just in like hurricanes in certain areas.
Right.
You say, not the whole grid.
Right. So let's say you've got a freezer full of food, or let's say you got a refrigerator full of food, and now all of a sudden the power's out for 3 days. Well, that's spoil. Do you have a plan for that? Do you have a generator? Do you have... So these are things that when you're traveling in the military, you have a food surplus in most cases that will hold you over for a number of days if you get cut off. And then you have whatever fuel reserve that you need for wherever you're going and whatever you're doing. And then, as far as resources, so one of the biggest things in winning a fight is sustainability. So most people don't understand sustainability at all because we're all paycheck to paycheck and week to week, and that we just figure that the lights will be on 24/7, and they don't realize that if you cut off 3 different channels of supply, well, what are people going to do?
Yeah.
And so wake up. If you haven't woken up yet, the awakening's here, and I don't want to ruin anybody's day. I want to help you out because what are you going to do if you have a 3-day where one of those are out or all 3 of them are out? Or let's say you have a 30-day window or no power, no food, no money.
But you're exactly right, because I don't think people understand, when these situations, the garbage trucks aren't coming to get your trash, like all those things, like there's other things they care about, their little tribe, who's immune from all of it. I don't know. I just see that as the nature of really government or whatever at the end of the day, to keep their power, man, in a lot of ways.
Exactly.
We're in the garden. It's existential.